Hi, my name is Yemdry Perdomo. I'm a realtor with Wychock Real Estate, a teacher at Downtown Real Estate Academy, and here's a little bit about me. Aquí les cuento un poco sobre mí. Before real estate, I was a financial representative with PAFS at the hospital. We helped patients who didn't have insurance cover their medical bills, and that's how I got involved in the community. What made me decide to switch to real estate instead was because I wanted to help impact people's lives. I feel like homeownership is a big investment that people make, and there's a lot of bad information out there, a lot of underserved communities, so I wanted to be a small part in their process. I think the most important thing I would tell buyers is that everybody's journey looks different. I think at this point, they know a lot of people who've already purchased properties, and they go into this process with certain expectations, and that's not always going to be the case. Having a pre-approval is super important because it turns you from just browsing to a serious buyer. It lets sellers know that you are serious and you're ready and willing to purchase their property, so it makes your offer stronger. So if a buyer were to come to me and they didn't have a pre-approval in hand, I would have that conversation with them, explain to them what the process entails, connect them with the correct person. For example, local lenders. I've been doing this for a couple years now, so I have great contacts. My favorite thing about working with buyers is being a very small part of their journey. Everybody remembers the first time that they purchased a property, and I love the feeling of being able to teach people that this process is not as scary as they think. A lot of people are ready and they don't even know it. So it's important for me to help buyers feel less scared and more confident when they're purchasing a house. The biggest myth that renters believe in is that homeownership is out of their reach, when in reality, I think they just haven't explored their options. People think that you have to have a 20% down payment, which is not true. There are other options available. There's a 3.5 with FHA. There's 0% down loan programs like USDA. I think just having the conversation with the correct person and exploring your options are very important. I'll be honest with them. If it makes sense for them to purchase now or in the near future, then I will let them know. If it does not, then at least we can create a plan so that they can get ready in the near future. So working with sellers, marketing is super important, and positioning your property from the very beginning, very strong. So that means pricing it correctly, professional photos, professional videos, open houses. I want my sellers to feel like we are working together as part of a team with the same goal in mind. That's to get as much money as possible and to sell their house as quickly as possible. The most important thing I would tell sellers is hire me. But other than that, there's a lot of small things that will go a long way. Decluttering, a deep clean, and a fresh coat of paint are very inexpensive things that will increase your property value. So the way that I determine what a property should be listed at is by pulling up similar properties in the area that have sold recently that look very similar to the subject property, and I compile a report to share with the seller. Then we share information back and forth. How much has the seller invested in this property? Are these properties better or worse than the properties that I have pulled up from the market? And I will give a recommended price to the seller. It's important to note that my price is just a recommendation. The seller will ultimately decide what we put the house up on the market for. I think Northeast Pennsylvania would be a very smart location for investors to look at because there's a lower entry point and there's steady demand. If you structure the deal properly, you would get the benefits of cash flow and appreciation. My favorite part about working with real estate investors is that they're very data focused. So as long as the numbers make sense, they're usually a lot easier to pull the trigger. The couple things that I would want people to understand when they're thinking about working with me is that I will be honest, patient, and I'm very education focused, meaning I want to teach you as much as I can about this process so that you are making the best decision for you and your family and you feel confident in your decision when purchasing a home.